To become a master, you need to spend at least 10,000 hours as a task. However, even with 6,000 hours in the game, I'm not even slightly close to mastering everything needed to play a solid game of Rimworld. There's a lot of tips and tricks that never get told to you, so here's a collection of slightly off-the-wall things I wish I'd known way sooner about Rimworld. You can use graves as a free and easy firebreak around your base by stacking them up end to end. A little morbid, but saves hauling out concrete for an artificial firebreak. Having your turrets on a power switch to save power is a great idea, but means someone physically has to flick the switch. Meanwhile, if you put a single piece of wire near your turret and click reconnect on the turret's menu, it'll swap over to this unconnected circuit. It looks prettier, but you don't actually have to leave the corridor. Pawns will walk straight over benches with only a minor speed debuff. In a do or die situation, grenades will put out a fire with this explosion. This can be used to save a wooden base on the edge of getting decimated by a wildfire. Animals can be selected in the wildlife tab for hunting, where you can see their chance to attack back and select whole herds in seconds. If your cook is terrible, only make one meal rather than batches of 4. Food poisoning applies to all meals made in a task, so you only mess up one meal and don't poison your whole colony at once. With a pawn selected and about to shoot, you can then hover over another pawn to see their shot odds. With this, you can see what worked best at cover and your weapon hit chance at different ranges. You don't have to have all your food ready for a caravan. You can set up camp pretty much anywhere and forage, as each campsite will spawn with some wildlife and natural food if it can support it. Bison, donkeys, strawberries, elephants, horses, muffaloes, thrombos and yaks can all be used as pack animals for carrying extra things across the world map, so tame these whenever possible. Your colony wealth is a primary factor in how hard to raid become, so don't mine up any gold or silver on the map until you need it for more defenses. When choosing a spot on the world map, go for somewhere near roads to give yourself more caravan opportunities in the later game, and on a river if you want infinite power. Reorganize your colonists on the top tab by right-clicking and dragging them to put them in your favorite order. Change all your colonists' default behavior when seeing threats to attack rather than run in their bio tab to get them to take on danger faster. This is especially great for melee pawns, as when you take them into a fight zone, undraft them and they'll automatically path and fight rather than having to micromanage them. If you're digging into mountains, use the roof tab in the bottom right to keep track of deeper rock, where light green means light roof and dark green means heavy roof. The insect invasion event can only happen on dark green squares, so if you avoid digging into deeper mountain, then hives can't spawn in your base. You can arrest a pawn on a risky mental break by right-clicking on them and selecting arrest, and then instantly release them back out to snap them out of it. There's a chance they refuse the arrest and fight back, although this will at least redirect their anger away from destroying mortar shells. Geethers produce a lot of heat when enclosed, so you can use them as a free heating source for your base on colder maps, and having a generator on top doesn't affect this at all. If the room is too small, it will overheat, but you can remove roof tile to counter this if you're limited on early game resources. If you need multiple heaters or coolers for a large room, offset the temperature by a few degrees. If at any point only one of them is needed to keep the temperature steady, the other appliance will go dormant and save you a lot of power. Wood beds are more comfortable than stone ones for obvious reasons, and your colonists have to spend less time in them to recover rest. But stone beds are great for prisoners, as they have to spend more time in them sleeping, and thus have less awake time for opportunities to break out. You can set any production task to drop on floor when finished, to save excess hauling around your base. It takes the same time to haul one component as it does 25. Light is important for everything from shooting to mining, so spread some torches and lights around your base to increase speed of activities. Windmills are prevented from working when a wall or tree gets in the way, but they have an auto-cut box on them when you select their tab. You can designate all trees that will block it to be cut down. You can also use this extra space around the windmill for farmland or solar panels, and these are low enough to not affect the wind flow. You can place a door down behind your cooler to protect it from damage from raiders or pawn, and it will still vent out heat exactly the same. Drugs can solve a lot of problems, from sadness to tiredness, weakness to poorness. Just make sure to stick to the lower strength drugs in case anyone gets addicted. If they do get addicted, however, you can install peg legs, then remove the peg legs to leave them bedbound while they recover from addiction, then put new bionic legs on them later. Morally questionable, but all's well that ends well. Adding concrete or better paths to the outside of your base will speed up your pawns and stop them from dragging in as much mud into your bases and dirtying them up, leading to higher beauty and less food poisoning. In terms of the most efficient way to make money for the amount of colonists work, you'd have thought drugs would be best, but it turned out to actually be corn. Corn only requires 6 seconds of work for every 24 silver it pulls in. However, it can only be sold to bulk goods traders. Press the magnifying glass in the bottom right, or the Z key, to load up the search bar, where you can then type in anything on the map. This is useful for finding lost items after a fight, or finding if your map contains gold, plasteel, or components when first spawning in. You can have as many researchers as you want, so you can double, triple, or quadruple your research speed. If you can only afford one bench, then offset your researchers' schedules and have daytime and nighttime researchers. Pemmican is the most nutritious food for the amount of ingredients used to make it, so use it when food is scarce or travelling a long distance. If you don't like a colonist, you can just banish them using their biotap, with the only punishment being a -4 debuff for the rest of your colonists for a few days. I'd recommend permadeath for a playthrough, as it's all part of the story. However, if all your colonists do somehow die, it isn't game over. Wait 24 hours to the same map, and eventually a new survivor will wander in and set up base, and you're back up and running. Press and hold shift to queue up orders for pawns directly afterwards. This is incredibly useful for killing selected blighted crops, or ordering a pawn to eat before mining on the other side of the map. Power explosion is a random event that explosively discharges all your batteries, and the explosion side depends on how much power is stored. 2 to 3 batteries is usually the maximum you want to have in your network, to be less explosive than a mortar shell hitting your base. Start growing cloth as soon as you can if you're in a biome that easily supports it. It has so many uses for making vital winter clothes, and pool of poker tables for a great recreation mix-up. Occasionally check your home zone area through the orders tab, as you might have put down an emergency medical bed or claimed a random wall, and your colonists will try cleaning or putting out fires in all home areas, even halfway across the map. Don't put your turrets too close together, and if one explodes, it's probably taking out all the others out as well. However, do have them close enough to cover each other, as they have a minimum attack range and are defenseless against melee. Rooms don't actually need corners, so you can save building materials this way. Even heat will only transfer between up, down, left and right, and the diagonals aren't affected by this. Weirdly though, you could put a statue in the shared space between 4 rooms, and have all of them get its benefits. If a wildfire has gone on for too long or burned enough of the map, the game will automatically make it rain to put it out before it destroys too much of the foliage. And lastly, if you have an area you want your colonists to avoid, such as a mech cluster, you can zone off that area and invert the selection and assign your colonists to that. Do not forget to invert this zone, or a party is about to kick off. And there you have it, a collection of some of the most fun tips that'll give you a little bit more of an edge next time you're sitting down for a session. Got your own weird and wonderful tips? Leave them down below. I'm sure there's some great ones hiding out there that can transform someone's game. I'd love to see them. Anyway, I'll catch you in on.